TCA and TCR machines getting ready to head out on track. Actually, it's round number 6 for the TCR cars and round number 4 for the TCA cars. Get those numbers right here as the TCR cars ran a doubleheader at St. Petersburg on the street circuit. And the TCA cars there by invitational, but not by points. So this one is going to be an important one. It's the second of the doubleheader events for the weekend here at Virginia International Raceway for TC America and the combined TCR TCA class. Great to have you with us. Calvin Fish alongside Ryan Marine in pit lane. And as we get set to go for this race here, lots of developments during that first race. And late in the going, Brent Casey Jr., who showed up, made his first start in the championship, qualified on the pole, led big early, struggled a little bit at certain points in the race. And in the end, it was an overall win by Mike McCann in Junior in the TCR Cup car, Cal, doing a superb job. But Michael Hertzen putting together a strong run, finishing second overall, and that gave him the pole position with a great lap as well. But here's a look at the TCA part of the grid, and a good effort there. Nick Whitmer keeping a real strong qualifying run alive as well. And you look on the number 59 of Mark Pombo in the Mini alongside Tyler Maxson in that orange, black, and white Mazda, right in behind Whitmer's Subaru. To the left, to the right, Nate Norenberg in another of the Minis. These guys put on a tremendous show in that race.
It was fantastic, absolutely immense, and no one knew until the final lap who was going to grab the victory. You see Christian Cole, he's going to be sitting on the front row with another of those McCann Racing TCR Cup machines, but it was his teammate McCann Jr. who grabbed that overall win. And it looked like it's going to be a 1-2, and Britt Casey Jr. obviously had that issue late in the going and also was found to have a technical infraction after the race, so he gets bumped to the back of the pack today. So lots to play for. This TCR class never disappoints either. No, they put on a great show, and it's going to be interesting here. James Walker, we'll talk a little bit more about him in the TCR Alpha from Racing Competizione as we look at the rest of the starting lineup in the TCA field, and it's stout. Chris Haldeman in the number 69 Honda Civic. PJ Gronke having a very solid run yesterday as well, up into the 5th spot in his Tech Sport Subaru. And some drivers a little bit farther back in the order that certainly have the ability to put on a real solid show. Look there at the number 22, Damon Surzan, ice racer. Loves his ice racing up in Canada, as well as doing club road racing, doing some pro racing, and finds himself, he's a person who is a video producer and is doing a documentary on the Tech Sport team. There's the number 50. That is the Mazda Global MX-5 Cup car from Copeland Motorsports for Dina Weisberg. So a good, solid field about to unfold here. And getting a report here that the X Factor, the Honda Civic SIs, be running a little bit less weight. There's a little bit of an adjustment than they had in race 1, and said it's they're looking forward to seeing just what kind of performance they'll be able to put on for Chris Haldeman in the 69, Taylor Hagler the 77, Cole Serralo the 25, Sally McNulty in the 780, and Stephen Zhu, who was the driver who provided me the information in the 02 entry. And that's always a nice little motivator when you get a little bit of a break. See what you can do with it. Yeah, for sure. They'll try and be a bit more competitive today, get to the sharp end of the field. But it's going to be tough. Those leaders were really putting in some amazing lap times here yesterday. Pombo had the issue with the tire late in the going. Otherwise, he was a factor for the win. But between that Mazda and the Subaru and the Mini, there was very little to choose. And you hear the engines coming to life as the start command has been given. Hertzen, our championship leader, will be starting from the pole. Put together a great run. He's had 4 podium finishes so far this year, including a win in the first race at St. Petersburg. A monster lap he put in after some issues earlier in the race yesterday. Yeah, very impressive what we've been seeing from that program after the big wins at St. Pete. Really propelled them up front. Vincent having that issue yesterday, but definitely has some speed. There's no question about that. And be able to see, but what I was getting to with James Walker after the crash he had at St. Pete, brand new car. They said they got here
setup wasn't quite where they wanted it. He wasn't familiar with the track. They lost a complete session due to rain, and they ended up literally treating yesterday's race as a test session. They were in and out tweaking on the car, and he said, we're hoping we got it right. He said, because I've fallen in love with this track and I want to put in a big race and a big show. In today's race, he's certainly capable of it.
He really is. He always seems to keep finding time, has a very disciplined approach to the sport, and he's ably assisted by the engineering group at Risi Competizione, led by Rick Mayer there. So be curious to see. It wasn't their best day yesterday. I mean, I really expect them to be more towards the sharp end, but they've had a night to think about it and tweak on that alpha and see if they can come back stronger today.
Yeah, he said it was an unusual day at a racetrack, but you just try and make the best of what opportunities you have. And one thing we know is that when he gets it figured out and it's dialed up and the car's right, he's fast.
He really is. See if he can get up amongst these leaders. Perfect conditions right now. Beautiful day for racing here. Spectacular venue. Very demanding, very little room for error, particularly up through these high-speed S's. You're following closely, so hard to keep hitting your marks, and if you run afoul of those curbs, they can really send you spinning out very quickly.
Yeah, very true. And you think about what's unfolding in the TCA category. You know, we've talked a lot about that Havana Rum Cup and the money that's available. Nick Whitmer has been untouchable in this category in terms of wins. 3 straight wins to start off the season. Yesterday's came, he had to sit in third for a large part of that race and just kind of manage things a little bit, and then let that Subaru have its head when he was ready and went to the front once again. Just a great season for a very talented driver.
He's ticking the boxes on that Havana Cup bonus structure, so see if he can sweep the weekend again. That'll be another feather in his cap as he looks for that bonus money at the end of the year, but he'll need a better start. He made tough sledding of it. Ivan got dropped a couple of positions early, just sat back. They seemed to bide his time, and then with Pombo's issues, he suddenly found himself at the front and grabbed his 3rd win on the season.
This again a 40-minute race, fast laps from yesterday's race, determining how you are going to line up and get ready to go here. And Walker making the comment that heading into the race yesterday, they just threw a lot of changes at the Alpha. He said hoping it was in the right direction and would move the needle. It didn't. So they decided we got to keep tweaking on it, and we're about to find out just if those changes took. But it's going to be Michael Hertzen leading him up in the TCR Cup entry of Christian Cole. That silver Audi on the outside. Great front row here, and then a split start of sorts back to the TCA machines. We're green. Round number 6 for the TCR cars, round number 4 for the TCA machines. Hertzen immediately into the lead.
Gonzalez looking for the 2nd position. You see that bright green front to the Honda there. He grabs the 2nd spot. Everyone's stacking up.
It's that Type R. And look at Nate Vincent dropping tires into the dirt, trying to make any kind of a jump he can. And as he got caught up in that, James Walker in the Alpha tried to get down to the inside. And Hertzen shutting the door. Walker, sensing that coming, wisely got out of it.
Pombo to the front in TCA, takes it around the outside of Whitmer through turn 3. Trying to control the pace. Nuremberg's had a good start as well.
Yeah, Pombo did exactly that same thing yesterday. Got to the front early, and he also had Tyler Maxson with him in that mix. Tyler sitting back right down the 4th spot in that multicolored orange, white, and red Mazda. Right behind that black and yellow Mini. Sorry, Cal.
Momentarily there, like Walker, is not up to full pace there at the tail end of this TCR battle right now. TCR A cars coming up on him.
There's the Audi of Brian Putt, point leader in the TCR Cup category.
There's Walker. Pombo leads the TCA field through turn 12, out of Oak Tree, onto the back straight.
One of the nice things, Walker talking about working with Risi, but also with the Alpha factory, they're watching these races, and they're immediately, as soon as they get any data, they're uploading it, sending it straight to the factory in Italy, who looks at it and then comes back with some answers. And he said, we're hoping it's going to develop something for us here. And boy, Britt Casey making a quick run up the order, isn't he?
He really has. He's gotten around his teammate already, Mike McCann Jr., who's coming off that victory here yesterday. Like they were having fuel pressure issues towards the end of the race yesterday. Nate Vincent also hoping for a rebound, having broken an axle early in the going.
Yeah, Christian Cole, who started up front, has fallen down the order just a little bit. There's the number 15, the white and blue. Ooh, as Vincent looks to the inside. Vincent in a full TCA, full sequential, that Liqui-Moly FCP Euro VW. But Brian Putt has been very quick in this TCR Cup car, and in fact, as we said, leads the points.
Yeah, he's doing a really nice job. Had some issues yesterday, but just keep grinding away. Really rolls great speed through turn 3. The car's really hooked up.
Yeah, Brian took a lot of time off from racing to follow his son, as his son became a internationally ranked motorcycle trials rider. Followed him to Europe. He decided, all right, he's grown up, I can get back and do a little racing of my own, and got involved in SCCA club racing in some very fast prototype cars. And right there realized that Vincent was just going to keep being relentless, and it wasn't a battle for class position, and let the TCR machine through. But Brian Putt said, you know, driving these, what they call them the P1 category car in SCCA club racing, very fast, high downforce prototypes. He said it only made sense when I decided to try tin top racing for the first time seriously and at the pro level to get in something that had a fair amount of downforce. And TCR looked at that and said that might just be the platform, although it's front wheel drive. Those prototypes certainly aren't.
Right. TCA is now Mini 1-2. Snorenberger's got his way around Whitmer. Whitmer's struggling there a little bit as Maxon comes at him. Clears the Subaru relatively easily. Whitmer tucks back into the draft there, just trying to pick up that effect. Drops wheels there on the approach to the brake zone for the roller coaster.
It was interesting yesterday, Cal. We saw the same thing early in the race. Whitmer, what, 6 to 8 kilometers down on the minis and that Mazda on the straight. And then as the race unfolded, maybe it's just a matter of him, when the car came in, getting a better launch out of Oak Tree, that started to diminish a little bit, and he was able to work his way to the front and get that third win, combined with some big moments for Mark Pombo, who was pushing in that Mini.
He was pushing hard in terms of effort and pushing with understeer as he really worked over those front driving wheels on the Mini. Team said that's going to be the main consideration, is keeping those front tires underneath us, and at the end of the day, that was a problem for Pombo.
People that aren't quite familiar with it, in a front drive car, in a racing scenario in particular, you ask those front tires, they're doing virtually everything. I mean, they're braking, accelerating, turning, and you can just drive those tires right off the car, quite literally.
Yeah, the rear wheels are literally along for the ride. Good little battle here for the second position. Pombo needs to get out front, just manage his pace, try and think about the long run and what he's going to have left in the final 10 minutes, which is when he seemed to struggle yesterday. Haldeman, who had a great qualifying performance for round 1, sits there in the 5th position in that bright orange Honda.
And a good run behind him for Serralo as well. 25, another Cole in the race. Ooh, Maxon really close in that Copeland Motorsports Mazda.
Watch him through here. He really rolls speed through the apex of Oak Tree, which he has to. Whitmer just sitting there in the shadows, biding his time once again.
You know, it's interesting here with this Mini 1-2. You know, Norenberg, obviously, I mean, he's not just, you know, he's not going to just sit back there, go slow and block. But he's got the opportunity here that if Maxon proves to be a quicker car, he certainly isn't going to make it easy for him to get through, and that's going to help his teammate up front.
For sure.
We might be seeing that play out right now.
Oh, this is getting tight.
Yes, it is.
Gonzalez suddenly feeling the pressure from behind from Vincent. And Casey Jr. has had a great run from the back of the pack. Would like to rebound after yesterday's frustrations. I'm sure he pretty much dominated things early on.
Well, Vincent has just been attacking in these early laps here, fighting his way up to 3rd. Good run in this one by Victor Gonzalez.
Really is, but those FCP Euro machines look really tough. Hudson has the championship lead over his teammate. Got blown out a little bit yesterday with Nate's problems from a technical issue before the green flag even flew.
These cars really make a significant amount of downforce.
Got to be fun to attack those S's in one of these cars. Vincent looks to the inside, not quite close enough. Gonzalez doesn't open the door.
Vincent, one of those delicate scenarios, isn't it? He has to be a little careful when he makes an attack on Gonzalez, because if he gets balked too bad, Casey can sneak right through. Now it's just a drag race. Casey opting to go, well, Audi VW. Pushing him through, hoping that they'll both be able to get through, and they do. They clear the Coca-Cola Honda of Gonzalez.
Just a little bit more pace there down the straightaways over the Honda. And they also got to the right-hand lane, so it's going to be tough for Gonzalez to defend from that.
Ooh. Boy, Vincent uses all that curb and more, doesn't he?
He really does. He's got to watch that. The grip goes away, and that allows Britt Casey to get the run. TCA, battle for second. Staying pretty calm for now. Whitman not even wanting to pick up any of the draft. Not sure if he's considering the cooling aspects of the race car in any fashion, but didn't want to pick up the draft there down the straightaway.
Well, and Ryan, it wasn't until about mid-race yesterday that those Subarus started to come alive, especially Nick Whitmer's. They looking at the same ploy today?
Well, let's find out from Bozy Tatarovic. He is the crew chief on Nick Whitmer's car, and we noted that yesterday it seemed like midway through the race is when the car came to life. Are you expecting to see that repeat itself here in race 2?
Yes. We had a really good Subaru Motorsports BRZ TS yesterday, and Nick, as always, is amazing. So Nick just works his way up. He has good strategy. You know, he has a lot of mechanical sympathy, so and a lot of good strategy to keep the car up. So our Tech Sport Racing Subaru BRZ is handling well so far. He hasn't said very much, but it seems like he's just working his way up and doing the usual Nick Whitmer thing of, you know, just nice and easy.
The start to the season has been very strong. That's no surprise considering the team, the car, and Nick, of course. But that said, this is a sport where a lot of things can go awry, not necessarily of your making. So how exciting has it been to have everything coming together the way that it has so far?
It's been great. Our Subaru BRZ TS cars have done very well, and our drivers have done well. We have a whole team behind us, so everybody works together. Everybody pitches in, and we have, you know, really good strategy, really good maintenance and preparation. So it's helped our, you know, Tech Sport BRZs do really well so far.
Thank you very much. We'll let you get back to work. Suffice it to say, it would not be a surprise if Nick goes on a charge here in the second half of the race.
Well, and it's interesting to hear Bozy say Nick, you know, doing what Nick does nice and easy. Nick does nice and easy when he needs to do nice and easy, and that's the strategy. He gets it. You remember a couple of years ago when he was running that front-wheel drive Honda Sun Rose car, and there were times in that race where he was driving it like an ice racer because it had a weird, it wasn't allowed to get the update on the rear suspension, and in that he would just throw that thing around with wild aplomb. But in this car, the Subaru likes it a little bit more tidy, and Nick is savvy enough to understand that.
He just hovers, doesn't he? He just sits around and just waits and bides his time. Really curious to see if he does have some kind of overheating issue, because down the straightaway, he's literally deliberately switching sides of the straightaway to get out of the draft of the other cars up front.
Absolutely, and here's the number 44 down into the pits, PJ Gronke. A couple of years ago, the TC Touring Car B champion. And PG will be a little bit frustrated. Had a good run up into the top 5. Last year, when he made the switch to TCA with his team, first couple of races, he was on the podium, and then things just sort of went wrong. Had a lot of mechanical issues and the like, and looks like he had a little one there as well, Cal.
Yeah, hopefully the car is healthy now, but certainly not start to the race he was looking for, and as you said, it's really a repeat of what he saw last year on a regular basis.
Well, Michael Hertzen taking big advantage of the opportunity he had. Brett Casey Jr. has worked his way up into second. There he is.
He's laid down the fastest lap of the race. Good chunk quicker than what Hertzen has run. So if Casey can continue to run at the rapid pace he's shown, he should be able to catch Hertzen there with plenty of time left on the board. His fast lap is over a second faster than Hertzen right now. As we saw yesterday, Michael certainly left some in the bag with a really fast lap towards the end of his race.
Yes, he did. And what he wants to see, Hertzen, is Vincent find a little bit of speed, get up and start bothering Casey. Right now, Casey has that covered. All three of them have been able to open up a bit of a margin to Victor Gonzalez. And then 5th overall, your leader in the TCR Cup category, the points leader, the 15 Euro Auto Parts Row Racing entry, the Audi of Brian Putt.
To see what happens to Michael McCann Jr. Sort of like has dropped towards the tail end of the TCR pack, but his lap times right now just ran a 59.0, which is slightly quicker than the leader. So it seems like the car has pace now, but certainly not the opening salvo to the race that he was looking for.
And look at this, the hovering has stopped, hasn't it? Nick Whitmer has now gone around both Maxson and Norenberg.
Yeah, he doesn't want to let Mark Pombo get too far down the road.
Well, and if he was dealing with some, ooh, big off in the background, I think that's Cole Cerullo.
He just needs to whoa it down. You never know what you can meet there in the middle of that runoff area. Tear the car up pretty bad. He's got a smooth ride back, though.
Yeah. Just ease it back on. Nice recovery. Only lost maybe a spot or two. Now he just has to wait for his heart to leave his throat and get back down to his chest. Nice aggressive move down to the inside by Jenny Gannett. Door handle to door handle with Cerullo right now. Jenny on the inside. Gonna stay there.
Yeah, done a nice job hitting the marks, good lap times. Leading the 3 female drivers that we have in this race right now.
Yeah, should move her up into 6th in class. She's done a nice job. She said it was about halfway through the season last year when she said, I finally was ready to literally attack a little bit when I'd get in a battle and close up on somebody. She said it was all so new to me that I'd find myself just sort of holding station and everything and learning when I could, you know, trying to figure things out. She said I got to the point finally in a couple of cases it was like, all right, go after him, see what he can do here. And she just continues to learn.
That learning curve right there, she's just trying to learn whether I should give that corner up, give that driver the line or not. And comes back really nicely there.
Beautiful.
And then you get to the point where you're not having to think about the basics of driving. It comes naturally, and then you just think about your racecraft. So it's a gradual evolution for drivers early in their careers like Jenny.
Man, went for the over-under there. I love that. Of course, her husband Frank Gannett running now in the GT4 category, and I was talking with Frank at the banquet last year. Look at Jenny diving down to the inside, so close.
Trying to make it stick.
That nimble little Mazda, it can go in places some of these other cars can't. Finally, she has to let go, tuck back in behind on the 77 of Taylor Hagler.
Good racing, though.
Oh, fabulous racing.
She's willing to stick it in there and run side by side through a very difficult part of the racetrack.
Yeah, we're getting an update now from, whoa! Bit of contact here. It's the number 3, Mike McCann Jr. into the side of Brian Putt.
Yeah, and that was a battle for the lead in the TCR Cup. So, and I think McCann has had to pull over. I'm not sure if he broke the front suspension or splitter.
Something's not right. And as we said, Brian Putt leading in the points coming into this event. And we just got word. We were wondering if there was some issue with McCann's car. The team just said there's not. And then the contact, and now an apparent issue is he has pulled over and parked. That's unfortunate. He and Brian Putt were really in the middle of what was a pretty fun battle.
It was, because McCann had that relatively slow start and then had really picked up his pace, got to the leader, made that move, probably coming off a lot of confidence and celebration from last night, grabbing that first victory.
Yeah, it looks like he is done. The question is has he got it moved far enough over where the race director will say, yeah, that's a fairly safe spot. We'll just let him race. So far, green flag stays out.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's tough to tell from that angle.
Into that back stretch as you enter the roller coaster, you have someone spare off on that side of the road. You may have to think about that one. But meanwhile, the racing continues.
That is Victor Gonzalez in the TCR Honda coming up through some of the TCA traffic.
Really nice start. Now he's dropped away from the leaders a little bit. That is getting really tight at the front. Casey Jr. within a few tenths of Hertzen for the lead.
Casey's last lap, what, about 2 tenths quicker? 3 almost. Keeping an eye on this battle, I think. Right now, after that incident, and just to update you in the TCR Cup category, it's the 27 of Christian Cole, who started outside of the front row, now leading in that category. Here's the battle for the lead. Casey down to the inside of Hertzen.
Hertzen gives him just enough racing room. Casey plugs the gap. Now it's all about traction and power off turn 1. Hertzen has the inside line. Casey fights it around the outside. Great racing, great respect. Hertzen gives him plenty of room. Casey now cuts back to the inside for turn 4.
What a move.
Good stuff there.
Boy, he read that beautifully, didn't he? As soon as Hertzen floated wide, the exit, he just cut to the inside.
And a report that even despite that bump, Brian Putt's car is fine, so he's got to just regroup, try and chase down Cole, our current leader in TCR Cup. Isn't any signs of a caution, Greg, so they must believe that McCann Jr.'s car is in a relatively safe haven there on the side of the road.
And looking at the monitors, it looks like Brian Putt right now would be about 9 seconds back of Cole. That's the margin. He's got 20 minutes to not just whittle the margin down, but also make the pass. And the two often are distinctly different in terms of being able to accomplish it. And Vincent showing a little bit of speed. He's been able to close down just a little bit here. Oh, and a problem here. This is the 34 of Walker. And that Risi run, Alfa Romeo Giulietta.
So he's just trying to find a safe haven as well. Some drive.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Not sure if that's turn 11 maybe.
See the corner marshals behind him giving him a signal that if you can go, it's clear, go ahead. Now he's able to get going. Now is that oak tree? Yeah, you're right.
Not as smooth as the weekends for a team that's been so impressive in the early rounds, but coming here with a brand new race car. Walker working with a very wounded shoulder.
Yeah, he said the good news is he said he wasn't suffering any pain during that race yesterday. He said it was just the handling of the car was just completely off, and what they had thrown at it before the race didn't take, so they opted to just start tweaking on it to try and get a car that might work a little better today. Gets a lot of good support from Helapaget Brake Systems and KBE Plus, an engineering firm that is a longtime partner. So there's Mike McCann able to get that car down in the pit lane. You can see some damage there to that left front, Cal.
Yeah, I think what he may have been feeling, he may have thought the suspension was broken. Maybe just the front aero was pushed back into that left front tire, so they've got to address that. Get a new wheel and tire put on there at the same time and see if they can get some clearance, get him back out there in the action.
These teams aren't expecting any type of a pit stop during these races, so a little bit different pace than you're used to seeing in a race or class that is running with pit stops, driver, and tire changes, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the key is to make sure the car is safe before releasing him. So we'll check this thing out. He's dropped down the auto. But we'd still like to complete and see the finish here today.
Meanwhile, Casey Jr. now has opened that margin up to about 2.4 seconds over Hertzen. Vincent closing in just a little bit. Hertzen looks like he may be slowing up just a bit if you take a look at the start once again. And you can see them fanning out big time. Hertzen taking the opportunity, but Gonzalez got a great launch.
He really did. Beautiful launch there from the second row of the grid. Grabs that early second position. TCR battle was intense. Pombo really fighting hard here side by side with Whitmer as they head towards that tight technical section. Walker having a few issues early.
Then this little scrap here is, McCann just got in a little too hot. Got into the back of Brian Putt. And McCann sensing something wrong with the car, eventually able to get it back down to the pits. Good news for Brian Putt is that the car is okay. And he has closed that margin up, so Brian Putt is coming after Christian Cole, and look at this little scrap. Whitmer has gone to the front once again.
It's a battle for third right now. Maxon holding down the third position. He just got that position from Nuremberg. Haldeman has closed in on this battle as well. Bright orange Honda.
Maxon in the Mazda, Mini, Honda. Leading the race, Subaru.
It's really savvy racecraft. The fact that Whitmer is just willing to give up those positions early is now a great battle there. Nuremberg taking it in super deep on the brakes. Can't quite keep it together. Maxon does the undercut. Nice stuff.
Yeah, it was. And Nuremberg minimizing the loss there. He knew Maxon was coming through, and then he just drifted right over to make sure that Haldeman didn't slice through as well. These TCA cars put on some absolutely fabulous racing.
Yeah, it's just such a great entry point. You can run this class as early as 14 years old. And about 200 horsepower. Really cost-efficient form of racing.
Yeah, the guy's coming right out of karting. It's a great opportunity. It's the number 3 in McCann, I think, and he's still not happy with that car, is he?
Yeah, just trying to feel out something's amiss. It's a shame. Such a great drive yesterday.
Truly.
Like it was going to be a McCann 1-2, but it didn't quite materialize that way.
Yeah, he's struggling. You're talking about the TCA class. Basically, what the TCA class, the series a few years ago looked at the TCB category, where there was very limited modifications to the cars that run in that class, the Fiat, the Mini, and the like. And they said, you know, that's very successful, it's low cost. And they came up with the idea of, well, let's take a touring car, however, apply the TCB level of prep to the touring car, and that's what created TCA. It's a limited prep class, racy little cars, but you're not throwing TC money at them to make them, you know, modify them up immensely and the like. And as a result, you've got, as you said, that really nice, relative low-cost entry point in a class. Cars are very racy, tend to be very close, and put on a show. Well, speaking of close, this is what we're talking about. Nuremberg, Maxon, and Haldeman. They are side by each all the way down that straight. That car in front is Cole, and the car behind is Putt. That's the margin in the battle for the lead in TCR Cup.
Nuremberg there pushing really hard. Got that position back that he had to give up at this phase of the circuit to Maxon on that previous lap. But I just love the fact there's such a cross-section of drivers. You got youngsters trying to just wet their feet in motorsports, and you got guys who just really enjoying driving these TCA cars. And now developing turnkey cars like the Honda for about $60,000. That's just tremendous value.
Well, that's the nice thing, that you know, that shows that the manufacturers really see value in this TCA concept, that they're taking a car like BMW did for the turnkey and touring car with the M235 and now 240 IR, that manufacturers like the Honda are building a turnkey car for TCA, limited prep. You just buy one and go. Nürburgring, boy, he is dipping into every tool he's got in the kit right now to hang on to this third spot, isn't he?
Yeah, and this is the stage of the race yesterday that the Mini started to struggle for front grip, so it's been a long green flag run here. See if he can maintain that track position and pace as we get to the later stages of this race.
Up in front of these guys, Whitmer leads by about 3.5 seconds over Pombo. There we go, that's Pombo. And here's this battle. Maxon in that little Mazda is so quick here through the twisty bits where that Mazda absolutely excels.
It's tucked right under the shadow of that Mini. Oh, Nürburgring really early on the brakes there. Maxon nearly gets into the back of him. But that's an indicator that he just has to over-slow to get through there effectively and not drive the front tires off the car.
Well, maybe that and the fact if he can kill the Mazda's momentum a little bit, that Mini's got some snort down that back straight.
Maybe all part of the strategy you're suggesting, huh? Just parking him in the corner there. And
well, I don't know that any race driver would do that, but just throwing it out there.
You can really take it deep in the brakes here, so not quite sure why he overslows turn 11 so much, but maybe you're right. He's just thinking about stymieing the Mazda exit speed off of Oak Tree.
Haldeman back now just a couple of car lengths. There are times when he is all over these two and others when he just lays back, it seems. Meanwhile, let's take a look. Cole, boy, I'll tell you, Brian Putt is absolutely flying in that TCR Cup car. He's now within 2.8 seconds, within 3 seconds of Cole. It wasn't that long ago. It's Maxon looking to the outside. That was the better part of 8 seconds.
Yeah, you'd have to think that Putt has the pace to catch him, even though there's only 10 minutes to go.
You know, if I'm finding it hard to lay off of the golf puns with Brian Putt's name, it must be driving you nuts with your love of the sport.
He's a heck of a driver. It's all about the greens.
He's a chip off the old block. And we're done. Well, what a fun little scrap this is, though. Just watching these cars and the various strength of the cars.
Maxon just really floats speed. I think he's got a bit more lap time than Nürburgring, but can't really put it to use in certain sectors of the racetrack. Nürburgring there just didn't overslow the car that time. It just drifts out a little bit wide. Car has picked up some understeer. Try and bring it home. Can they get 2 of those Minis up onto the podium today?
Whitmer and Pombo. Whitmer is doing a superb job keeping that margin open here.
Yeah, very controlled. Just sat back there, just watched the race develop, allowed Pombo to do his thing in the opening laps, and then just went on the attack and has taken off, basically.
Yeah. And as we're watching this little battle up front, Britt Casey, he'd stretched that margin out a little bit, and Hertzen doing what he has done previously, suddenly turning some pretty quick laps late in the race, has that down to about a second. And Hertzen in that FCP Euro entry, Tiv Heinlein is the team principal and team manager of that program. And we check in with Ryan here and find out. Look at this.
And it seems like that gap is closing a little bit at the front. You've got a couple of cars in podium positions right now, but do you think you've got enough to take the fight to the race leader at the moment?
Well, I certainly hope so. Michael is hustling to try to get up to him, and looks like he's closing the gap. So our hope is that Casey may just toast his tires towards the end there, and we get a chance Of course, he's running great. The car looks to be strong, but we have hopes that Michael will get there.
If he gets there, how aggressive do you want him to be, going for the win versus securing good points in a podium finishing position?
Well, both are important for us, obviously. The podium, the better finish, the more points you get. But it's not worth, obviously, risking a good podium finish just going too aggressive. But I'm sure he'll choose the proper level, and he's actually looks like he's attacking right now. He's still behind, unfortunately, but yeah, I think he's going to try whatever he can without being too aggressive and put themselves in danger.
Thank you, Tiv. The pressure is on at the front of the field, guys.
Well, it is, and I think what they're referencing is, you know, this is the all three abreast.
This is
oh,
awesome.
Fabulous. Look at
Almost a
Haldeman
squeeze,
coming.
yeah. Not sure if Maxon just decided he didn't want to be the meat in the sandwich there, or whether the other cars had cleared him, but it didn't look good for a moment.
Oh, boy. Let's see. 3 into 14. That's tough math.
Haldeman gives it up. Figured that was going to get ugly if he forced the issue.
And Maxon glued to the bumper in Nuremberg as they come down the hill.
Basically, the part of the race where you're going to be scoring points. I know it's based on laps, but just in terms of time, you're more than 75% through this race, so you can go on the attack a little bit, take a few more chances. Maybe that's what Hertzen is thinking in the battle up front in TCR.
Maxon moving to the outside. We've seen outside passes work here down into turn 1. Generally, you're a little bit farther along, but and he tucks back in. Now trying to cut underneath, maybe? Nope.
Real different ebb and flow with these cars, just developing their strengths in different areas of the racetrack. Gear ratios are a big factor also in terms of being in the sweet spot on the power band of the engine. One corner you may be perfect, another corner is either too low or too high with the options you have to work with.
Here's the battle for the lead in TCR Cup. Number 27, the silver Audi of Kristen Cole.
Battle for 5th overall as well.
Yeah, and Brian Putt in that very fast points leading eEuroparts.com row racing Audi.
Lots to look at here. There's action everywhere.
Absolutely. And after Hertzen attacked and got that margin down to about, well, we saw it, he was alongside at one point in the overall lead. That's back to about a second now. So back to this battle and that battle for the lead in TCR Cup. Whitmer up front of Pombo by about 9 seconds, so they've got some room.
He's in cruise control up front.
Yeah, he is.
Question is, will it be 2 minis on the podium or just one? Maxon certainly has got his eye on the prize. He wants to try and position himself. Probably thinking now about just what sort of move can I make and back timing it to the end of the race. Do you leave it for the last lap? Do you try and get it early and make...
Pombo.
Wow.
Problems
2
there.
days in a row.
Yeah.
What disappointment.
Looks like a
Front
left
again.
front down, it looks like. Yep.
Exactly what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, tough to be 2 minis on the podium now.
That is unfortunate. Pombo's been just on form this weekend in terms of speed, racecraft, and the like. So now it's up to Nuremberg if he wants to have a mini up in 2nd spot. Oh, look at Haldeman cutting to the inside.
He can hang with them. I don't really see a particular area where he has a big strength as Nuremberg drops a wheel on the entry.
And the air brake pops open. Oh, that's unfortunate.
He's going to have some unders there.
Both minis, same lap, having issues of some sort. I think that was just, he just ran a little wide.
Yeah, he was just, tires are going away on him a little bit. He's just having to push really hard, just dropped those right sides he's about to turn in and just lost the tail. So if we're looking to have 2 minis on the podium, may struggle to get any with Pombo's tire issue and now Nuremberg's spin.
The overall race leader's coming up behind him. Here's a look at it, Cal.
See him there, just trying to set up, just drops him marginally on the dirt right before that curb and turn-in point. Enough to lose the grip and turn him. Well, you know someone's going to send him a photo of this before the end of the day.
Without doubt, yeah. Boy, and I think Hertzen got caught up a little bit more behind him because as they were coming up on the back, I caught in the background Casey and Hertzen, and they were fairly close. And Casey obviously able to sneak through pretty cleanly, and I think Hertzen got bottled up for just a moment. Oh, there's Cole Cerullo, the number 25, who's been running right up in the 5th spot in TCA. 5th, 6th. He's got damage pretty significant to the bodywork, at least on that left side. Kind of looks like oak tree, doesn't it?
It does. That's been the problem area for the weekend for a number of our competitors in all classes. Just so little margin for errors. Take a look here. Yeah, just got out a little bit wide, couldn't get it turned. He actually gets into the barriers a lot further down the road than most do.
And the farther down, the more that tire wall comes back at you, too. The angles become a little bit more acute. All right, he's going. He's definitely got some rub.
He needs to hit pit lane and make sure the mechanics can get that out of the way before he gets into the high-speed section.
We have under 2 minutes to go.
Casey Jr.'s lead has ballooned out to over 3 seconds now with Hertzen's little issues in traffic and the like. His teammate Vincent a further 5 seconds behind. They may have 2 of those FCP Euro machines on the podium, but not the top spot, as Whitmer continues to lead in TCA. Dominant performance, dominant weekend once again, going for 4 straight.
Yeah, what a season he's putting together. And with the issues for the 2 minis, a big margin right now. And I'm sure there will be those that'll say, you know, Whitmer obviously is an absolute top flight driver in TCA. But in my opinion, that shows some of these young guns in TCA, it gives them a target. This is where you want to be. Go after them, you know.
As we said, it's a cross-section of drivers. It's a starting point for some. It's a destination for others. But either way, it provides great value, good cost-efficient racing.
If you're a young driver that you're serious about your driving, you want to measure yourself against the very best. And here's your opportunity. Casey, see that 001 flashing from Lumarang. That's always flashes the overall race position. The only one that flashes is the overall leader, and he is coming up for a white flag.
Redemption after yesterday. He led till late. His teammate chased him down as he fought fuel pressure issues. And a technical issue after the race anyway, so it was a day that went from good to bad to worse. But nice rebound for him. TCR champion from another championship last year.
Well, I'll tell you, Hertzen's last lap was a 1.5 seconds faster than Casey's, and the margin went from 3.3 down to 1.7.
Can't relax too much.
Exactly.
For traffic up ahead as well. So it's been one of the more bizarre weekends in terms of the compression and extension of gaps in the field.
It has.
It's all over the map. No real consistency to it.
Here he is. Casey doing a nice job. Cole, you know, once Brian Putt was able to get close, Cole was able to fend him off. The margin 1.1 seconds right now in that TCR Cup lead battle. Very close. Keeping an eye here on your leader, Casey, as he's working up through some of the TCA field. One last time into the roller coaster. Turn 14A and down the hill.
Nice drive from the back of the field.
Yes, it has been.
That DQ, basically his fast lap, did not count from yesterday in terms of the grid position.
And on to the front straight. Another win for McCann Racing. This in the TCR sequential gearbox car for Britt Casey. Good weekend for the McCann Racing team. Hertzen flashes through in second. Some good valuable points for him. And Vincent will complete the podium. So 2 of the FCP Euro by HRD entries. And here's the battle for the lead in TCR Cup. Cole doing everything he can to hang on, and Brian Putt coming after him.
He is on the attack. He has closed down that gap in these last few corners. May have left it a little bit too late. Cole just got to hit his marks now. Make sure he gets a clean exit out of Hogpen.
Don't let the pressure get to him. All right, here we go, on to the front straight. He got a nice run out of 17, didn't he?
Beautiful.
Yep, exactly what he needed to do. So Christian Cole doing what he needs to do and puts together a win. And so 2 wins on the day for McCann Racing once again. In both the TCA, the TCR class and the TCR Cup category. And in looking at those points coming in here, Brian Putt with that second place finish, with Cole coming in 4th in the points and McCann having issues. Brian's going to still be looking pretty strong in that point scenario, I would think. And Hertzen and Vincent with Casey, only his second race in the championship. They're not doing themselves any harm at all in those points with that 2nd and 3rd.
No, it's all going to be a lot tighter tonight. So
yes, it is.
Good stuff. Nice job. Nate Vincent rebounding from the technical issues yesterday. A lot of work to get the parts here and get the car back on the track. So he's rewarded with a nice podium run.
Absolutely. And for Nick Whitmer, that is win number 4 of 4. I mean, he gets a couple more. He just, all he has to do is worry about sweeping at Vegas, and he's...
Keep him out of the casinos, we'll be fine.
Exactly. Exactly. So let's take a look at the provisional results here in this combined category race. There is your TCR Cup race. And 0.7 of a second for Christian Cole to hang on for his win over points leader Brian Putt. In the combined category here, you take a look, Casey with the win over Hertzen and Vincent. Gonzalez in his first weekend of racing, a solid 4th. Nice job there. Then the battle for TCR Cup, Cole Putt. Walker just still not quite finding the pace that he wanted here this weekend. And then in the gray tinted numbers, that's the TCA cars. Whitmer with the win over Tyler Maxson and Chris Haldeman, completing the podium. So once again, 3 different makes in that podium for the TCA category. Have to like how that worked out. And there's the problem for Mike McCann, who is a serious player in the points in the TCR Cup. Going to lose a bunch. Here's a look at some of the highlights from the race. And at the start, good move there. Hertzen recognizing opportunity.
Gonzalez up to 2nd early. The rest of the field just tries to survive turn 1 and not get into each other. The first battle rages in TCA with Whitmer, our pole setter, coming under attack early from Mark Pombo.
Yeah, and this is that big moment here, the number 3 of McCann getting into the side of Brian Putt. Putt's car relatively unscathed, but some damage for McCann. And then this great battle for much of the race for 3rd in the category. This at the time was for 2nd.
Norenberg just dropping those wheels on the entry to turn 3, turns it around and loses a podium position. For the minis, they look good for a moment.
And there is the McCann crew celebrating both the overall win and TCR with Britt Casey, and a win for Cole in TCR Cup as well. Big weekend here at Virginia International Raceway for the Touring Car America TCR and TCA divisions. Thanks so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you with us here in TC America competition. For Cal and for Ryan Marine, I'm Greg Kramer. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. We will see you next time.